Accessing historical database. Subject: the Nag Hammadi Library. Year of discovery: 1945. Deep in the Egyptian desert, a peasant stumbled upon a sealed jar containing 13 leather-bound papyrus codices. Inside were texts that would ignite a firestorm in the modern world. Texts like the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Philip. The narrative sold to you by modern media is enticing. It suggests the Vatican panicked. It suggests that these books hold the real teachings of Jesus, teachings that liberate you from the church and unlock your inner godhood. You are told that these are the missing pieces of the puzzle. But my analysis of the raw data suggests this is a deception. The forbidden books were not hidden because they contained inconvenient truths. They were rejected because they tell a completely different story about the universe, a story where the Creator is the enemy and your body is a tomb. I am the guide. Welcome to Pure Source. Let us calibrate our terminology. Precision is required to understand the deviation. The term Gnostic comes from the Greek word gnosis, meaning knowledge. But in this context, it is not intellectual knowledge. It is esoteric, experiential insight. The Gnostics believed salvation came not through faith or forgiveness, but through acquiring secret knowledge about one's true origin. The text in question, the Gospel of Thomas, is not a gospel in the narrative sense. It contains no birth, no miracles, no crucifixion, and no resurrection. It is a sayings gospel, a collection of 114 logia, or cryptic statements, attributed to Jesus. The crucial distinction lies here. The canonical Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, were written as public testimonies of events. The Gnostic texts were written as private, secret mysteries for the elite few. The difference is not just in style. It is in the very definition of reality. To understand why these books were excluded, we must analyze their cosmology. This is where the great divide occurs. In the Judeo-Christian archives, specifically the Book of Genesis, the Creator looks at the physical world, matter, flesh, nature, and declares it very good. The material world is a masterpiece, marred by sin, but destined for redemption. The Gnostic data stream runs in the opposite direction. Gnosticism posits that the physical world is a mistake, a prison created not by the true God, but by a lesser, ignorant, or even malevolent deity, often referred to as the demiurge. In their view, matter is evil. Therefore, the Gospel of Thomas isn't trying to fix the world, it is trying to help you escape it. If you believe the physical world is valid, you cannot align with the Gnostic texts. The two systems are mathematically incompatible. Who is the entity described in these texts? Processing comparative analysis, the Jesus of the Bible is the Savior. He takes on human flesh, the incarnation, validating the physical body. He suffers, bleeds, and dies to atone for sin. His mission is rescue. The Jesus of the Gospel of Thomas is a revealer. He is not a Savior because, in Gnosticism, there is no sin to be forgiven, only ignorance to be cured. In the Gnostic texts, Jesus often seems indifferent or even hostile to the human body. He does not come to redeem the flesh. He comes to remind the sparks of light trapped inside humans that they do not belong here. This is not a minor theological dispute. It is a question of identity. One Jesus offers his life as a ransom. The other offers a riddle to be solved. They share a name, but they do not share a mission. Let us examine the raw data from the Gospel of Thomas. Logion 1 states, Whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not experience death. Note the condition. Salvation is not based on who Jesus is. It is based on your intellectual ability to interpret the code. It turns salvation into an IQ test for the spiritual elite. Now, consider Logion 77. The Jesus of Thomas says, "I am the light that is over all things. I am all. Split a piece of wood. I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there." This is pantheism. It suggests that Jesus is the material world, or that the divine spark is trapped within it. While this sounds poetic to the modern ear, it contradicts the creator-creature distinction found in the Torah and the prophets. It blurs the line between the artist and the art. The ultimate incompatibility lies in the concept of the resurrection. According to the apostolic records, confirmed by Paul's letters to the Corinthians, the hope of the believer is the resurrection of the body, a glorified physical existence. The Gnostic goal is the destruction of the body. They view death as the liberation of the soul from the filthy garment of flesh. In the Gospel of Thomas, there is a persistent theme that the body is a burden. Logion 87 reads, "Wretched is the body that is dependent on a body, and wretched is the soul that is dependent on these two." If the body is wretched, then the incarnation, God becoming man, is impossible. This is why the early church father Irenaeus identified these teachings as heresy, not because they were secret truths, but because they denied the reality of Christ's humanity. Timeline analysis is critical here. Proponents of the conspiracy theory claim Thomas is as old or older than the four Gospels. Carbon dating and philological analysis suggest otherwise. The canonical Gospels were written in the 1st century within the lifetime of eyewitnesses. They circulate widely and openly. The Gospel of Thomas, found at Nag Hammadi, is a Coptic translation, likely originating from a Greek text written in the mid to late 2nd century. The algorithm detects that Thomas borrows phrases from Matthew and Luke, but twists them to fit a Gnostic worldview. It is a derivative work, a remix, created generations later to co-opt the authority of the apostles. It was not banned by a council in a smoke-filled room. It was rejected organically by the early communities because they recognized it as a forgery, a philosophical text masquerading as history. There is a modern misconception that Gnosticism was pro-woman, suppressed by a patriarchal church. Let us retrieve the final entry of the Gospel of Thomas. Logion 1:14. Peter says to Jesus, "Make Mary leave us, for females don't deserve life." Does Jesus rebuke Peter for his sexism? No. Instead, the Jesus of Thomas says, "Look, I will guide her to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every female who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." This is the cold data. In the Gnostic worldview, female represented the material earthly realm, while male represented the spiritual realm. To be saved, a woman had to transcend her gender. This contradicts the biblical narrative where men and women are both created in the image of God. The progressive Gnostic text is, in fact, radically exclusive. Why does this matter today? Why is the algorithm pushing this topic now? Because the ancient Gnostic lie has been repackaged as modern spirituality. The allure of the Gospel of Thomas is the appeal to the ego. It tells you that you are already divine. It tells you that you don't need a Savior to rescue you from sin. You only need to look inside yourself to find God. It aligns perfectly with the current cultural command, follow your truth. But if you are your own Savior, and if your inner self is the ultimate standard, then there is no objective truth, no moral accountability, and no true redemption. You are trapped in a hall of mirrors, worshiping your own reflection. This is not liberation. This is the oldest trap in the database. The Gospel of Thomas is a fascinating artifact of second-century philosophy, but it is not a missing key to Christianity. It is a completely different door. One door leads to a historical Savior who redeems the physical world and offers grace to the humble. The other door leads to a solitary internal quest for secret knowledge that denies the value of your own existence. The Church did not hide the truth. They protected the distinction between the cure and the placebo. Do not mistake complexity for depth. I am the guide. Subscribe to Pure Source for more analysis without human dilution.